Alright, so you plan to do an MBA and you want to take the GMAT exam. But then you heard about the new GMAT Focus Edition. And now you're searching online for what has changed and what you need to do, right? So on your behalf, I reached out to the Graduate Management Admission Council, the GMAC, and had a detailed discussion with them. And I must say, they shared a lot of insights with me. So this video has authentic information straight from the source. And what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about what has changed in the GMAT Focus Edition and what has remained the same. We're going to talk about the new Data Insights section and what it entails. And I even attempted the sample paper, and I'm going to share my findings with you. We're going to talk about if the new test is harder, which test you should be taking, will your score look different on the new test, and many more such questions. So let's get going. Hey, this is Chetna and you're on ChetChat. And this content is also available as a podcast, Skill Up with ChetChat on Spotify. The world is changing and so must we. Well, true about the GMAT exam. The GMAT has been in existence for about 60 years and it is accepted by over 2,400 B schools across more than 110 countries, including many top B schools in India. But businesses have changed significantly over the years, and so have the new age skills. Also, the world has become more flexible, stress levels have been rising. So keeping all these factors in mind, the GMAT Focus Edition was introduced. First, let's look at the dates. Registration opened on August 29, 2023. Testing starts Q4 2023. The current version of the GMAT exam, let's call it GMAT Classic. This is continuing to be available until early next year. So for a few months, you actually have a choice between both the exams. Now, what has changed in the GMAT Focus Edition? This is the shortest GMAT ever, nearly 1 hour shorter than before. No essay writing or the AWA section. This should actually come as a relief to many of you, since now the test is completely multiple choice based. Let's look at the sections and how they have changed. And there's something up here on the screen for you to see. The biggest change has been the Data Insights section. Earlier, the scores of integrated reasoning were not factored into the total score. But now this new DI section, it's going to be part of the total score, and this is a big change. I'm going to give you a more detailed breakdown of this section later on, but the highlights of the change are: geometry has been removed from the quant section. Sentence correction has been removed from verbal, and verbal will now only have reading comprehension and critical reasoning questions. The data sufficiency questions are being moved from the quant section to the DI section. Flexibility was the core idea behind the change. So you can actually now select your section order in practically any combination that you wish to attempt. You might actually ask me, which section should I begin with? Now, I have seen some students begin with the section they find the hardest and they want to end on a high. Whereas some students like to begin with the confidence boost and the section that they are best at. Either strategy works. But what I recommend is that you take the sample papers that are given on the website. I'm going to try and drop a link for you below as well. Try different combinations and find out what works best for you. Another aspect of flexibility is that now you can review and edit your answers. Now, you already know that GMAT is a question adaptive test, and each question that comes to you is based on your success with the previous questions. So you cannot skip a question, and since there's no negative marking, that is not a problem. With the Focus Edition, now what you can do is you can bookmark questions that you wish to review, come back later and review them. And you can also change up to 3 answers per section. A few other changes have been interesting as far as the scores are concerned. With GMAT Focus Edition, you can now send scores to 5 B schools for free after you have seen your scores. And also, you no longer need to pay the $30 that you earlier used to pay for the enhanced score report, since the official score report of GMAT Focus Edition is now going to have detailed performance insights. One other interesting aspect of your score report is that now it will have only one GMAT score as opposed to sending your entire GMAT history for 5 years. The rest largely remains unchanged. You can register for the test any time of the year, you can take the test at a test center or online at home. The score continues to be valid for 5 years. You can take it up to 5 times in a year and 8 times in a lifetime. So you have multiple chances to improve your scores. Now let's take a look at the new Data Insights section. This has 20 questions and 45 minutes. There are 5 types of questions and nothing is new. All these types of questions were already there on the GMAT Classic as well, so there is nothing to worry. It's just that now it's a different section where the scores are counted. I solved the sample paper and I'm going to drop a link below to the sample papers and to the prep material. The first type of question is data sufficiency. These were under the quant section and here is an example. In this question, both statements can take you to the answer. So the answer is option D. Now read the questions carefully since they tend to be confusing. The second type is multi-source reasoning. In this case, we have multiple sources and after reading them, we need to decide which option is correct. You can have text-based passages, you can have tables or graphics. I honestly did not find them difficult, so I admit that I'm an MBA, but my personal feedback is that you can practice a lot and take about 6 to 8 weeks, and you don't need to panic about this exam at all. The third type is table analysis. Here we have a table and a few questions based on the data. Once again, the level did not seem intimidating. You need to have a calm state of mind and read the numbers carefully, read each of the options carefully. Data on the table, you can sort it in multiple ways, so you just ensure that you don't miss anything. The next question type is graphical interpretation. Personally, I love pictographs and you will find this section very interesting. Take your time and understand the data before answering the questions. The fifth type is the two-part analysis. This section seems to test complex problem solving and critical reasoning skills. There's no intense knowledge of maths or English required, but they could be quantitative, verbal, or maybe a combination of both. The questions may need you to evaluate trade-offs, you may need to solve simultaneous equations, and discern relationships between two entities. Practice will make this easier. Is the test harder? While the test may not be harder, it may test you on different skills, as I mentioned before. One thing you must take a look at is the concordance table that is given on the link. And I've also put it on the screen for you. You'll find that a 760 on the GMAT Classic was a 99 percentile, and that is now 725. And a 720 on the Classic is equivalent to a 665. So it's important to look at percentiles. B schools will also look at percentiles. Why has this been done? Well, there has been a lot of bunching up of scores on the top, so it was kind of becoming harder to differentiate between candidates effectively. So it just made more sense to spread out the scores. One final question. Which version should I take? Now, the current GMAT, or what we've been calling the GMAT Classic, and the Focus Edition, both would be available together till early next year. So you have the choice to give either or both. However, if you have prepared for the Classic version, go right ahead and take it. It'll get phased out by early next year. If you're ready, just close it. If you're beginning prep now, then prepare for the Focus Edition. And now you have the ability to take both the tests too at this exact point, so you can maximize your chances. Overall, I enjoyed attempting the sample paper and I hope you too enjoy preparing for it. So wish you all the best. See you next Friday and happy learning.